Hi. You spoke a bit about the the boost and the negation of the SAT scores that black applicants may receive with comparison to Asian people or in comparison to white people.
Yeah, I spoke about the Princeton study, correct.
And you also spoke about how there is not an equality of outcome in this nation. So with regard to this...
No, there is inequality of outcome.
Yeah.
There's no inequality of opportunity, yes.
Yes.
In the sense that there's no government obstacles. They're inequality, just to clarify before you finish the question, I promise, I'll let you finish. When I say there's no inequalities of opportunity, I obviously don't mean that we are all equally situated. I will never be an NBA basketball player. It's never going to happen. Although I could probably make the Lakers roster, they're that bad, but go ahead.
Given that you contend that there is an equality of opportunity in this nation, do you think it is right for the government to pursue, or like for federal cases to say that in some cases policies like affirmative action targeting certain ethnic groups are correct, and doing this, does it acknowledge white privilege, or do we should just leave this sort of policies totally out even though there is inequality of outcome?
No, so my answer about affirmative action and government policies that are meant to rectify these inequalities of outcome, no, I'm very much opposed to those. If you have two people who have equal SAT scores, and one of them happens to have had a bad childhood with obstacles to overcome, and one happens to have grown up in a very rich household, then that's an actual factor that has to be taken into account. But if somebody gets an SAT score that's 200 points below somebody else, and the only differentiating factor is their race, that's racism.
There's no other way you can put that. Just because of the color of someone's skin, they don't get to have privileges because of the background that they come from. If a person comes from a rich background, they shouldn't be losing their positions to people who are of color, as they call them, people of color, based off of that. That makes no sense. The person who came from the rich family, that person's family worked hard to get to that stage in life, and they should be treated equally. The black person, or whatever color the person is, black, Asian, whatever skin color the person is, they should be treated equally to the person that is of white descent. I disagree wholeheartedly with affirmative action, and as Ben Shapiro just said, if that was the case, that person will get ahead based off of solely their skin color. If they were both equal, that's racism.
I mean, I remember a few years back, there was a story in the Wall Street Journal about an Asian kid who got like a 1510 on his SATs when it was out of 1600, and he grew up extremely poor, single mother. It was a rough neighborhood, so he had to study in his closet for fear of gunshots and all this stuff. And he applied to Yale, didn't get in, and he didn't get in because he was Asian. If he'd been black, he would have gotten in. I mean, that sort of stuff is just racism, pure and simple. I don't understand why Colin Powell's kid is not worse off than that Asian kid was. And we're all differently situated, so let's look at each other as individuals.
Exactly, and that doesn't even make sense, because it really, in its sense, affirmative action, if it is the way it is, would kind of be racist, because not every black person experiences the same thing. And I've said this in a previous video, that they really put us into a box to say black people have to get certain privileges based off of the skin color, as if all black people have experienced the same things. There are some black people who are well off as well. Do they also get affirmative action? Because that would just be stupid, and it just shows the craziness of the society today.
There's some black people who have it really bad in this country. There's some black people who have it really great in this country. There are a lot of white people who have it really bad in this country. There are more white people on food stamps than black people, by a large margin. There are more white people on welfare than black people by a large margin, which is not to suggest that black people are not on average poorer than white people, because they are. But we're going to be in a much better position to do justice when we stop focusing so much on the perversion that's known as social justice. Social justice stands in direct contravention and opposition to justice. Justice is about you take action, you get what you deserve. Social justice is about you take action, and we may or may not give you what you deserve based on what we think your social group deserves. And that's evil. That really is. I mean, the idea that we're going to not judge the individual, we're instead going to judge what is most apropos for society based on the group to which you belong, and in some cases to which we arbitrarily place you, that's actually evil. Social justice is another word for redistribution of outcome and unfairness. Justice is a word that doesn't need a modifier. Like the word good doesn't need a modifier. Social justice doesn't need a modifier. You add social to it, you're detracting from the original word.
Everything Ben Shapiro stated there was absolute facts. And me as a person of color, as they love to call them nowadays, can agree 100%. And as I always say, and as I always advocate for in all my videos, I will never be a person who is a victim. I'm not going to engage in the victim Olympics that everyone of color seems to want to engage in. I will teach people to have empowerment, people to be empowered, and not to look at your skin color as a thing that holds you back from certain things in life. Because I grew up, because of the fact that I never saw everything as racism, I don't remember the last time I've experienced it. I don't go around like saying that everything is racism and this happened because of my skin color and I can't get this because of my skin color, because I'll never get anywhere with that type of mindset. It hinders us all if we have that type of mindset. And I implore everyone, whether you want to call yourself a person of color, black, white, blue, brown, to implore the mindset that you can overcome anything regardless of the color of your skin. If you go around with that mindset, you don't see everything as a race issue or this happened because of racism, you will fare out better in life. And I have always gone off of the merit of the things I do and the hard work I put into things. And that's the way we should always see things. But if you go around continuing to believe that you're a victim and you can't do anything because you're a victim, you will never, ever get anywhere in life. And when you do, you will think it's because someone had to give you a handout. So even at the end of the day, do you ever get anything based off of your character or based off the work that you put into the things that you want to get in life? It would be that it's the case that you don't. But anyway, that was another video, another reaction. As I usually say, if you guys enjoyed the video, like the video as much as possible, comment down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at YinkaThatGuy, and I am out.